So as expected, it didn't take very long for shill media websites to come out and try to protect Velma from the supposed angry fans. They want to protect them from the angry fans that are review bombing. This whole thing about review bombing is such a BS excuse to try to deflect criticism from a terrible, terrible show. This show has nothing to offer for anybody. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, left, right, center. You like anime, you like cartoons, you like whatever, you don't like them at all. What doesn't matter? For an adult show, this show offers nothing to anybody. I want to make that very, very clear. There is not a single saving grace to this show at all. And normally with a lot of the terrible shows like Rings of Power, Witch of Blood Origin, you can find like little things here and there that you really enjoy about the TV show that can make it somewhat bearable as you watch it. But when it comes to Velma, there is nothing in this show, nothing that makes it bearable, nothing at all. I hated watching the first episode, and unfortunately, I have to review the second episode, but I hated watching this thing. Literally, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I didn't have HBO Max. I had to borrow an HBO Max from someone to even watch it in the first place, but it's so freaking bad. But we're going to continue with this now because now apparently the obvious shill media websites like Screen Rant, for example, just had to come out and do a typical article about how Velma is being review bombed on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Even though the critics hate it too, no, because the audience hated that much more, it's got to be considered review bomb. It's ridiculous. So let's get into the article, guys, by good old Screen Rant. And it says Scooby-Doo spinoff Velma show review bombed on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Velma, a Scooby-Doo animated spinoff show, it has nothing to do with Scooby-Doo at all, is being brutally review bombed on both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes in the wake of its release by the same old person who always says that every left-wing show is being review bombed by LUKAS SHAYO. How does this person look, by the way? Let me see. Oh, of course, LUKAS SHAYO, of course. Of course you're a white dude. Why am I not surprised that there's a white dude who is trying to say that a left-wing show about progressivism is being review bombed? I am so shocked. Let's continue. So it says the Scooby-Doo spinoff Velma faces a massive review bombing campaign on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. Set before the Scooby-Doo gang started traveling the world to solve supernatural mysteries, Velma is an animated series that sees the team navigating high school while trying to figure out precisely what mysterious elements are causing murders. The show stars Mindy Kaling as Velma, Sam Richardson as Norval, Shaggy, he's not Shaggy, Constance Wu as Daphne, and Glenn Howerton as Fred, but it doesn't feature the famous talking dog. Instead, the show relies on adult humor that earned it an R rating. Well, actually, goes to show how much you actually do your research, because the show is rated TV MA, not R rating, so go fuck yourself. It says, unfortunately for the show, it has been the subject of review bombs on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. At the time of this writing, Velma has an 18% audience score, as opposed to its 60% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. On IMDb, the story is the same, with 72% of the audience judging Velma a 1 out of 10. While many already believe that Velma's R rating is a bad idea, that doesn't count for the absolute slam of incredibly negative reviews that comes within only hours of the show's release, as only 2 episodes have been aired. Well, why would it not? Why would it not? Because the show is only 27 minutes per episode, so it would take less than an hour to watch both of them. Why is it so strange that there's going to be terrible reviews hours after the show comes out? That's plenty of time to watch a show and give a review while the information is fresh in your head. This guy has absolutely no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's a retard, seriously. So now he says, who is review bombing Velma and why? Gee, I wonder what he's going to say. Velma features race-blind casting, sure, that sees Daphne, Velma, and Norval played by actors who are respectively South Asian, Asian, and Black. It wouldn't be the first time a diverse production has been review bombed due to its diversity, and it will unfortunately not be the last. While Velma is relatively smaller in scope, Amazon's Rings of Power was review bombed to the point that Amazon had to suspend reviews to determine which reviewers are being genuine about their opinions or if they were spewing hate for the sake of it. Now, how do you determine that? LUKAS SHAYO? How do you determine which review is spewing hate and which isn't? How do you determine that? Because you can have a hateful review that doesn't use hateful language. There's ways to do it, Lucas. I'm sure there is. So how would you even decipher that? You're a fucking idiot. You literally are. I'm not even surprised you have a job at Screen Rant. Just looking at you, I can just imagine you with your BLM flags in your house and your pride flags on your bed, and you're basically sleeping next to your dildo at night, wishing that you were really a woman every single day. Like, who the fuck are you? Seriously, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Race-blind casting on top of diverse production is being review bombed. It's only being review bombed because it's diversity. Meanwhile, everybody's making fun of the show for God knows other shit. Like, for example, I like Lucas, how you don't mention LUKAS SHAYO, how you don't mention the fact that this show in the first episode has literally underage girls naked in a shower. Like they're literally promoting that shit, and you don't want to talk about that, Lucas Shayo. I wonder why. I wonder why you don't want to talk about that. It says the fact that Velma is being bashed almost exclusively by men also hints at the potentially sexist cause of the bombing. No, it's not. It's being bashed by women as well. You would know that if you knew what a woman was, Lucas Shayo. If you knew what a woman was, you would know exactly what that is. It says IMDb reports that 159 men have reviewed the series with an average rating of 2.1. On the other hand, 18 women have given Velma an average rating of 4.1. While still not exceptionally high, the larger score does show the disparity between the opinions of men and women in the reviews. Well, Lucas Shayo, you would know that most women tend to vote liberal. Most women are liberal, okay? This is why women are being erased and men are not. Because men are more stringent against that kind of stuff. Women are more liberal. So they are being erased because of it. That's why you don't have any issues about women becoming men and trying to have the erasure of men in terms of language and entertainment. No, that's happening with trans women because women allow that shit to happen. Men will not allow that shit to happen. And that's the reason why. It says, as a woman-led show, Velma isn't unique to being a source of vilification and outright attack. She-Hulk was review bombed even before its premiere, proving that these campaigns are hardly based on the material. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove a thing because the trailers can speak to enough about the fact that how they're trying to ignore the source material completely. So you already know that these shows are going to have a certain ideology. The fucking trailer literally attacked the fans, Lucas Shayo. The trailer for Velma literally attacked the fans. That was the whole premise of the trailer. Did you forget that? Or did you not care? It's probably both. You're probably stupid enough to forget, and you probably don't care. But the trailer literally attacked Scooby-Doo fans from the beginning for a show that's trying to adapt Scooby-Doo. It's like, why would you even do that? What is the whole point of taking over the Scooby-Doo IP if the entire reason you were going to do that is to attack the Scooby-Doo fans in the first place? What's the whole point of that, Lucas Shayo? Explain. It says, of course, that assumes that the reviews are non-genuine. Perhaps there are some reasons to dislike Velma, even if the majority are mired in racism and sexism. It's not. It's not mired in racism and sexism. You just think it is, Lucas Shayo, because you're a show for Screen Rant. As the show is based on the Scooby-Doo franchise, there have been many complaints about the beloved dog not making an appearance, because it's not based on the Scooby-Doo franchise. And there have been critiques about the character of Norval being too distinct from Shaggy of the source material. The idea of taking a children's cartoon and adding an adult element to it is also questionable. At times, it feels like pollution of the original shows and a weak attempt to relatability to older audiences. If Velma is being review bombed for non-prejudice but equally wrong reasons, it wouldn't be the first time, as Godzilla vs. Kong was review bombed by Snyder fans after Zack Snyder left DC as a way of getting back at the studio. Velma releases new episodes on Thursdays, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I don't know why I read these articles from Screen Rant because I already know they're going to piss me off, especially when it's good old Lucas Shayo, who has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He really doesn't. He just focuses on racism and sexism because that gets him clicks, and he's trying to make sure he gets enough clicks on his article to impress his overlords at Screen Rant and try to make himself look like he's going to be useful for the company. But Lucas Shayo, you are fucking stupid. Go fuck yourself. Really, you don't have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to shit like this. Velma's not being review bombed at all. Velma is literally being reviewed by people who watch the show and do not like it. The critics do not like it at all either. The critic score is lower from when you actually posted this article. Much lower. Both scores are much lower. And the critics have stopped reviewing it because they don't want to put their names into something like this because they know the people who don't get paid off and the people who want to keep their benefits of being a critic are not going to touch this show and are just going to skip over it and say, well, they don't watch this kind of stuff anyway. But I guarantee if people were loving the show, then yeah, you would have saw a ton of critics jump on this. But they're not. So they're trying to stay away from it. These people do not like this show. Nobody likes this show. It is a terrible show just because it's a terrible show. It has nothing to do with the race of fucking Velma, which was stupid to begin with anyway. It doesn't have to do with any of that. It has to do with the fact that all the characters are literally dumb. All the characters are unlikable. Nobody likes anybody, including the main character. Daphne sucks. Fred is stupid. Norville's a simp. Velma's just a dick. Like, nobody likes these characters. And you would know that, Lucas Shayo, if you actually watched the show. But you probably even didn't. You just went straight for the racism and sexism thing because that's what you do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought of today's article, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.